The galactic cruiser Vainath's Pride hummed through the void, its corridors filled with the usual sounds of a deep space vessel. The thrum of engines, the hiss of recycled air, and the chirping of automated systems. But today, something unusual echoed through the residential deck laughter. High-pitched, chittering laughter that belonged to the ship's smallest passengers. Lyra stood in the doorway of the communal kitchen, her 4 eyes widening in disbelief. The human Marcus Chen, their newest crew member, had somehow attracted every single cub on the ship. All 12 of them. They stood in a remarkably straight line, tails swishing with barely contained excitement, their scales gleaming under the artificial lights. "What?" Lyra asked slowly, her translator struggling to convey her confusion. "Is happening here?" Marcus looked up from the cutting board, a knife in one hand and something that looked disturbingly like a Terran vegetable in the other. His lips pulled back in that peculiar way humans showed friendliness. A smile, they called it. "Oh. Hey Lyra. I'm just making dinner." The kids wanted to help with quality control. Quality control? Lyra's head frills flattened against her skull. "These are the commander's offspring, and cores, and..." She gestured helplessly at the line. "Half the senior staff's children. Way. 2. The first cub in line, little Seshka, barely 3 solar cycles old, bounced on her haunches. The human promise tastes. Navigator Lyra. We are being very professional. Live." Lyra watched in horrified fascination as Marcus held out a small cube of something orange. Seshka opened her mouth, accepted it with the solemnity of a treaty signing, chewed thoughtfully, and then gave a decisive nod. Salt levels acceptable. Texture crunchy. Approval granted. She scampered to the back of the line. The next cub stepped forward. "This has been going on for 20 minutes. Kor's deep voice rumbled from behind Lyra. The ship's head of security moved with surprising silence for someone his size. "I've been monitoring. And you didn't stop it?" Lyra rounded on him. Kor's crest rippled in what might have been amusement. "Stop what? A human feeding our young? Teaching them patience and cooperation? Look at them." Lyra. When was the last time all 12 cubs stood in line without fighting? He had a point. Cubs of their species were notoriously quarrelsome, especially when food was involved. Yet here they stood, waiting their turns, tails occasionally touching but no biting, no shoving, no territorial displays. Besides, Kor continued, "I'm curious what this dinner is. Humans have a reputation. A reputation for what?" Lyra's translator squawked slightly. "Eating anything. Making it delicious. And surviving what would kill most species." Marcus had moved on to another ingredient now, something that made Lyra's nostrils burn even from across the room. The human handled it with bare hands, chopping it into tiny pieces, while the cubs watched in awe. "This is called a jalapeno," Marcus explained, holding up the green object. "Very spicy. Probably too spicy for you guys, but it's going to make the sauce amazing." "What is spicy?" asked Torven, Commander Yalish's eldest son. Marcus paused, considering. "It's like your mouth feels like it's on fire, but in a good way. It hurts, but you keep wanting more." The cubs exchanged glances. This made no sense. Pain was to be avoided. But humans were strange, and everything the human had fed them so far had been extraordinary. "Your species eats pain?" Lyra couldn't help asking. "We eat lots of things," Marcus said cheerfully. "We've got this thing called capsaicin. That's what makes peppers spicy. Most species can't handle it. But humans? We've been breeding these things to be more painful for thousands of years because we like the challenge." Kor's crest rose higher. "This is the human survival trait the briefings mentioned. Adaptation through stubbornness. Is that what they're calling it now?" Marcus grinned. He held out another sample, a piece of what he'd called potato, with some kind of herb. The next cub in line, little Prill, accepted it gracefully. Texture, soft but firm. Flavor, earthy with green notes. Approval granted, Prill chirped, scurrying to the back. Lyra found herself drifting closer, drawn by the smells. Her species had moved past natural cooking centuries ago, relying on nutritional synthesizers. But this was different. This was craft. "What are you making?" she asked, her scientific curiosity overriding her concern. "Vegetable stir-fry with homemade sauce, rice on the side. I've been careful to check everything against the galactic allergen database." Marcus gestured to his datapad. "Nothing here should hurt anyone. Might be a little unusual for some palates, but that's part of the fun." "Fun," Lyra repeated. Humans and their obsession with fun. The cubs continued their rotation. Each one received a sample, delivered their assessment with increasing formality. They were clearly making a game of it now, and returned to the back of the line. New fighting. New chaos. Just cooperation. "How did you do this?" Kor asked, stepping fully into the kitchen. His security training made him observe everything. The knife techniques, the temperature of the heating surface, the way Marcus moved with efficiency, born of long practice. Marcus shrugged. "Kids are kids, no matter what planet you're from. They like feeling important. Give them a job, treat them with respect, and they'll surprise you. I promised them first taste of dessert, if everyone stayed in line." "Dessert?" 12 voices chorused instantly. "After the adults eat," Marcus said firmly. The cubs groaned but didn't break formation. Lyra watched as Marcus continued cooking, the cubs maintaining their inspection line with military precision. She thought about her own species' children. Raised in climate-controlled nurseries, fed optimized nutrition, protected from every possible harm. They were healthy, certainly. But did they know cooperation like this? Did they understand patience? "My assessment," Kor said quietly, his words meant only for Lyra, "is that humans are more dangerous than we thought." Lyra's frills shot up in alarm. "Dangerous? Not with weapons. With this." He gestured to the scene before them. "They infiltrate. They feed you. They make you smile. And before you know it, you'd follow them into a black hole." Marcus turned, caught the tail end of their conversation. "Hey, I heard black hole. Are we talking about the time Earth accidentally colonized one? Because that story's wild. Your species colonized a black hole?" Lyra's voice had reached a pitch that made her translator smoke slightly. "Well, colonized is a strong word. We mostly just built a station in a stable orbit and used it to study Hawking radiation. Lost 3 ships before we figured out the gravitational calculations. But eventually, 3 ships and you kept trying?" Marcus blinked. "Well, yeah. That's science. You can't learn without failing a few times." Seshka, at the front of the line again, tugged on Lyra's uniform. "Navigator Lyra, can we try the pain food someday? When we're older?" Lyra looked down at the cub's eager face, then at Kor, who was definitely amused now, then at Marcus, who was stirring his creation with the same care a ship's engineer used on a warp core. "Maybe," she said finally. "Maybe when you're older." The cubs cheered. Dinner, Lyra decided, was going to be interesting.